It was a quiet Tuesday afternoon when the woman walked into the high-end jewelry store. The kind of store where the air smelled of polished gold, expensive perfume, and the faint hint of expensive leather. The floors gleamed under soft lighting, and the sparkling jewels displayed in glass cases seemed to breathe with an elegance of their own. There was a quiet hum of conversation, the occasional jingle of a bracelet or a soft laugh from a satisfied customer, but for the most part, the store was serene. The bell above the door rang as she entered. It was a soft, tinkling sound that barely registered in the room. Most customers didn't notice the bell at all. The staff, already busy attending to their regulars, didn't seem to hear it. They were too engrossed in their tasks, either showing off a necklace to a woman dressed in an elegant fur coat or wrapping a gift for a man who was looking for the perfect anniversary present. But then, Tara noticed her. Tara was the kind of person who noticed everything. She had worked as a sales associate at the jewelry store for over 10 years. In those years, she'd seen every kind of person walk through the door, rich women shopping for their husbands, men buying extravagant gifts to win back lovers, tourists splurging on their vacations. Tara had seen it all. But this woman, she was different. She was alone, dressed in a thick woolen scarf that covered her hair and oversized sunglasses that hid most of her face. Her outfit was simple, dark jeans, a modest sweater, but there was something about her that didn't quite belong. She moved like someone with a purpose, walking through the store with an air of calm certainty, as though she had done this 1,000 times before. At first, Tara thought the woman was just passing through. Maybe she was a tourist, just curious about the high-end gems. After all, the store's reputation stretched far beyond the city. Tourists from all over the world came to catch a glimpse of the dazzling jewels. But something about this woman made Tara uneasy. She didn't look like the usual tourist. There was no excitement in her step, no wonder in her eyes, only an almost eerie tranquility. Tara continued helping another customer, trying to push the nagging feeling to the back of her mind. It wasn't until the woman's voice cut through the air that Tara's attention snapped back to her. "I'd like to buy a few pieces," the woman said, her tone steady, composed, and surprisingly calm for someone who was in a place like this. Tara's heart skipped a beat. Most of the time, people who came into the store were browsing first. Rarely did anyone come in without a long conversation, a few minutes of hesitation, maybe some back and forth over the price. But this woman? She was direct. She knew exactly what she wanted. "Of course," Tara said, forcing a smile as she pushed her curiosity aside. She was a professional, after all. "What sort of pieces are you interested in?" The woman turned and gestured vaguely toward the back of the store where the rarest pieces were locked away in glass cases. There, amongst the most exquisite diamonds, emeralds, and sapphires, Tara saw her hand wave toward a few select items. "I'll have the diamond necklace," she said, pausing for a beat. "And those earrings. The emerald ones. And the bracelet with the antique charm." Tara felt her mouth dry as her eyes flicked over the items the woman had chosen. Each one was worth a fortune, some even more than others, each piece a masterpiece of design. The diamond necklace alone was priced at nearly $500,000. The emerald earrings, rare and breathtaking, easily crossed the $300,000 mark. And the bracelet, well, it was rumored to be from a collection once owned by a European royal family, worth a sum no one could truly estimate. The woman hadn't even hesitated. No second thoughts, no questions about pricing. Tara swallowed hard, her professional smile not quite reaching her eyes. She wasn't sure what to make of it. Was this a mistake? Was the woman some sort of high-profile celebrity, a socialite who could afford such extravagance with the swipe of a card? Or was something more unusual happening? Tara led her to the counter and began pulling out the items one by one. The woman didn't speak much. She didn't need to. She moved as though she had done this 1,000 times before, eyes scanning the jewels as if they were nothing more than everyday items. Tara, trying to maintain her composure, found herself watching the woman more than the jewels in front of her. The woman finally handed over a black credit card, one of those high-end, exclusive cards that only the wealthiest individuals could obtain. Tara didn't even glance at the name, it didn't matter. But when she swiped the card through the machine, her heart stuttered. The name on the card made her blood run cold. Monica Davidson. It hit her like a punch to the gut. Monica Davidson. She had heard that name before, though not in the context of a jewelry store. The name was infamous in certain circles. The kind of name that belonged to people who didn't just make waves, they caused storms. The woman standing in front of her wasn't just a random shopper. Tara's hands shook as she finished processing the payment. Monica Davidson was not just some rich socialite. She was a mystery. A woman whose name had been whispered in connection with things that didn't quite add up. The press had written about her sudden disappearance years ago and the rumors that surrounded her life. No one knew for sure where she had been, what she had been doing, or why she had disappeared from the public eye. Some claimed she had faked her own death. Others said she had been involved in a scandal so big it could shake the foundations of society. But no one really knew the truth. And now, here she was, standing in front of Tara, buying millions of dollars worth of jewelry like it was nothing. Monica signed the receipt with a steady hand, not once looking at Tara as she did. There was no sense of excitement, no thrill. It was as though she were buying a loaf of bread, as if the jewels were as ordinary as anything else. Tara could hardly believe it. She knew this store had seen its fair share of wealthy customers, but this felt different. It felt like a piece of something much larger. A mystery she couldn't quite place. When the transaction was complete, Monica gave Tara a small, almost knowing smile. It wasn't a smile of gratitude, nor was it a smile of arrogance. It was something else entirely, something unreadable, almost detached. "Thank you," Monica said softly, her voice smooth like velvet. Tara nodded, too stunned to speak. Monica turned and walked toward the exit, the bell above the door chiming softly as she left. The moment she stepped outside, the store seemed to breathe a collective sigh of relief. But Tara couldn't shake the unease gnawing at her. Something didn't sit right with her. She couldn't quite put her finger on it. Moments later, other customers began to murmur. They exchanged confused looks, some of them leaning toward each other to whisper. There was no denying it, Monica Davidson had made quite an impression. The woman who walked in without notice, who had purchased millions in jewelry without batting an eye, had just left behind a trail of stunned silence. But it didn't end there. It couldn't have. Tara's curiosity was far from satisfied. She couldn't let it go. So, she made a quick decision and picked up her phone, dialing the store owner, hoping for some clarity. Her fingers shook as she waited for the call to connect. But when the phone rang, there was no answer. Her stomach tightened. An hour later, the news hit the airwaves. Monica Davidson's name was everywhere. Not in the way Tara had expected, though. There was no mention of her extravagant jewelry purchase. Instead, there was an investigation. A large one. Monica Davidson was missing. And the last time anyone had heard from her, she had been seen entering a high-profile event under suspicious circumstances. Tara stood frozen, staring at her phone screen as the headline flashed before her eyes. Monica Davidson, billionaire heiress disappears again. Police investigate possible link to scandal. The puzzle pieces were starting to come together, but the picture wasn't clear yet. The woman who had just walked through the store, calm and composed as she dropped millions of dollars in the blink of an eye, was she the same person in the headlines? And if she was, what did this mean? What was she really here for? Tara could feel her heartbeat quicken as the weight of it all settled in. This was no ordinary day. Something had just happened, something that could unravel in a way no one could have predicted. And this was just the beginning. Tara couldn't stop thinking about Monica Davidson. The image of the woman walking into the store with that strange calmness, purchasing millions of dollars worth of jewelry without batting an eye, everything about it lingered in Tara's mind like an unsolved riddle. After her shift ended, she couldn't wait to get home. She needed to understand what was happening. Tara wasn't the type to get involved in gossip, but this was different. There was something about Monica Davidson's behavior that felt wrong, as though the woman was a shadow in a world she didn't quite belong to. That evening, Tara sat at her kitchen table, scrolling through the latest news. The headlines were full of shocking revelations about Monica Davidson, an heiress known for her stunning beauty and mysterious past. For years, her name had been synonymous with scandal, but she had managed to vanish from the public eye. It wasn't until recently, after a sudden reappearance at a social event, that whispers of her return began circulating. But this wasn't just a story about a wealthy heiress. No, this was about a woman who had been connected to some truly disturbing events. Rumors swirled about her being involved in a huge financial scandal, the kind that could ruin entire corporations. But no one knew for sure. The details were fuzzy, buried under layers of misinformation and secrecy. Then, Tara saw it. Among the headlines was a name she hadn't expected to see. The article was about Monica's disappearance, but it wasn't the first time she'd vanished. The authorities believed that Monica had faked her own death years ago, leaving behind a trail of confusion and unanswered questions. According to the article, the last time she had been seen was at an event hosted by a powerful business magnate. She had disappeared from the spotlight, and her family had claimed she was lost forever. But there was something more. There was something Tara needed to understand. Tara's fingers hovered over the keyboard as she searched for more. Her curiosity was growing stronger by the minute. She had to know more about this woman, about what she had done, about why she had been so different in the store. There was something chilling in the way Monica had acted, like she was playing a role, a part she had rehearsed too many times to count. The search results led her to a documentary clip, an old interview with a journalist who had once been close to Monica Davidson's family. The journalist spoke of a time when Monica had been one of the most beloved figures in the fashion world. She had a natural elegance and grace, a charm that captured everyone's attention. But there were whispers, too, whispers about how she'd manipulated her way into the spotlight, how she had used her beauty to get what she wanted, to climb higher and higher until she had reached the very top of society. But then something had shifted. Monica had disappeared, leaving behind a mess of broken relationships and shattered reputations. The journalist's voice was filled with a mix of admiration and caution as he recounted his experiences with her. He said she was always careful with what she revealed, always in control of the narrative. That made Tara shiver. That was exactly what she had seen in the store, the controlled, deliberate way Monica had conducted herself. Tara paused the video and stared at the screen. She needed answers. But where could she find them? The next day, at work, things seemed to carry on as normal. Customers came and went, and the store was buzzing with the usual energy. But Tara was on edge. Her mind kept drifting back to Monica Davidson. She couldn't shake the feeling that the pieces of this puzzle were right in front of her, but she just couldn't put them together. By midday, Tara's phone buzzed. She looked at the screen and saw a name she hadn't expected, Detective Mallory from the local police department. A mess. Weston, the detective's voice crackled through the phone. I need to speak with you regarding a recent customer at your store. Tara's heart raced. She was caught off guard. Of course, detective. Is everything okay? There's been a development regarding a woman named Monica Davidson, the detective said. We believe you may have some important information about her. Tara's breath hitched. She felt a cold rush of anxiety. What kind of information? The woman who purchased those jewels, the detective pressed. We need to know everything you remember about her. How she acted, what she said, everything. This is very important. Tara's mind raced as she replayed the events from the previous day. She could still see Monica's face, the calm, measured expression, the way she had moved through the store with such confidence. But now, in the context of the detective's words, everything felt darker. There was something about Monica Davidson that wasn't adding up. "I'll be happy to help," Tara said, her voice shaking slightly. "When do you need me to come in?" The detective gave her the details. Tara agreed to meet him in an hour. As she ended the call, her mind swirled with more questions than answers. What was Monica really up to? And why had she chosen her jewelry so deliberately, without so much as a hint of hesitation? The rest of the day dragged on. Tara's thoughts were consumed with Monica. When her shift finally ended, she made her way to the police station, her stomach in knots. The police station was busy, officers moving quickly from one desk to another. Detective Mallory was waiting for her in a small interview room, his stern face giving away little. He gestured for Tara to sit across from him. "Thank you for coming in, Ms. Weston," he said, his voice steady. "We're trying to piece together what happened with Ms. Davidson. I'm sure you know her name from the headlines." Tara nodded. She had seen the name everywhere. It was impossible not to. "We're still trying to figure out what happened after she left your store," Detective Mallory continued. "You see, the jewelry she bought, well, it's all been stolen. It's not hers." Tara's eyes widened in shock. "What? That's impossible. She paid for it. She had the card." "We know," the detective interjected. "But it turns out that card was stolen from a private bank account. The funds don't match up. And now, we're finding that the jewelry was never meant to be sold to her. Someone else was expecting it to be delivered elsewhere." Tara's mind spun. Nothing made sense. But, she seemed so calm. She didn't seem like a criminal. "Exactly," the detective agreed. "That's what's throwing everyone off. She's been careful. Very careful. And that's what worries us the most. Monica Davidson has been living under a false identity for years. She's been playing a game with the authorities, and now, it's come to a head. We need to find out who she really is, what she's hiding, and what she plans to do next." Tara leaned forward, feeling the weight of the situation settle in her chest. This wasn't just a case of stolen jewelry. This was bigger, much bigger. "So, what happens now?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. The detective looked at her seriously. "Now, we need your help. You're the last person who saw her before she disappeared again. If you can remember anything at all, it could lead us to her. She's on the run, and we need to find her before it's too late." Tara's mind raced. She couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to this than anyone realized. Monica Davidson wasn't just a woman running from the law, she was hiding something deeper, something more dangerous. And now, Tara was caught in the middle of it. "I'll do whatever I can," Tara said quietly, her voice filled with a mix of fear and resolve. The detective nodded, his eyes hardening with determination. "Good. We'll need all the help we can get." As Tara left the police station that night, her head was spinning. Monica Davidson wasn't just a mystery. She was a puzzle with pieces scattered everywhere, and Tara was determined to put them all together, no matter what it took. But the deeper Tara dug into this mystery, the more she realized that the truth might be darker than she could ever imagine. Tara had never imagined she would find herself in a situation like this. The air in her apartment felt thick, as if the walls themselves were closing in on her. Her hands shook slightly as she closed her laptop, the screen flickering to black. She had just finished reading the latest updates from the detective. Monica Davidson had vanished, again. It was only a matter of hours before the authorities realized she was gone. The jewelry, the false identity, and now the connections to a shadowy underground world, everything seemed to point toward a woman whose life was constructed from lies and deception. A woman who was more dangerous than Tara had first imagined. But Monica wasn't just a fugitive. No, she was part of something much bigger, something that stretched across countries, businesses, and illegal networks. The more Tara learned, the more she felt like a character in one of the crime thrillers she used to read for entertainment. But this wasn't a book. This was real life, and she was in the middle of it. It was no longer just about stolen jewelry, it was about survival, power, and a battle for control. Tara sat at her kitchen table, staring at the flickering lamp on the counter. The shadows around her seemed to stretch and pull at her, as if they too were closing in. She had so many questions, but fewer answers. What had Monica been hiding? Why did she keep disappearing? And why had she chosen the jewelry store of all places to make such a grand, public statement? There was one thing Tara was certain of. She needed to know more. She needed to uncover whatever secret Monica had buried deep beneath the layers of her carefully crafted persona. The following morning, Tara arrived at work, trying to push the thoughts of Monica out of her mind. The store was already bustling with customers. She went through the motions, greeting them, guiding them to the jewelry that might catch their interest. But her mind kept wandering back to the mystery of the woman who had shaken the foundation of everything Tara knew. Then, just as Tara was about to help a customer, her phone buzzed. It was Detective Mallory again. "I need you to come down to the station," the detective said, his voice low, almost urgent. "We've found something." Tara's pulse quickened. She hadn't expected to hear from him so soon. "What is it? What have you found?" "A lead," Mallory replied. "Something that ties Monica to a much larger network. It's more dangerous than we thought." "I'll be there in 30 minutes, Tara said before hanging up. She grabbed her bag and rushed out the door. The walk to the police station felt longer than usual. Her thoughts were a whirlwind of questions and doubts. What had the detective uncovered? Was she finally going to get the answers she so desperately needed? When she arrived at the station, Mallory was waiting for her in the same small, sterile room where they had met before. This time, there was a sense of gravity in the air that Tara couldn't ignore. The walls seemed to close in on her as she sat down across from the detective. Mallory wasted no time. "We've been tracking Monica's movements, and we found something strange. Something big." Tara leaned forward, her heart pounding. "What is it?" "A connection to a company called Vextron Enterprises," Mallory said, his voice steady but tinged with tension. "It's a multinational corporation, involved in everything from tech to international finance. But here's the thing, it has ties to organized crime syndicates. Big ones. They have their fingers in a lot of pies." Tara blinked. She wasn't sure if she was ready to hear this, but she couldn't turn back now. "So, Monica's involved with criminals?" "We think so," Mallory answered. "She's not just some heiress playing a game. She's been part of something much bigger than anyone realized. Vextron Enterprises is the key. Monica's been working behind the scenes with them for years. And we believe she was using the jewelry purchase as a signal, a message to someone on the inside." Tara's stomach twisted. But why? Why would she risk everything for a jewelry purchase? "That's the part we don't fully understand yet," Mallory admitted. "But we're digging deeper. We think she's been laundering money for years through various businesses. This jewelry was just a small piece of a much larger operation. And we have reason to believe she's in serious danger. Whoever she's been working with, they're dangerous." Tara felt a chill run down her spine. The stakes were much higher than she had ever anticipated. "What happens now? What do you need from me?" Mallory stood up and walked over to the map pinned on the wall. He traced a line with his finger, following a trail of connections that seemed to stretch across continents. "We're tracking down the people who've been working with her. The more we uncover, the more we realize how deep this goes." We need you to remember everything you can about Monica, the way she acted, the way she spoke. Anything that might help us connect the dots." Tara nodded, determination hardening inside her. She was no longer just a bystander in this story. She was in the thick of it. And whatever it took, she was going to uncover the truth. As she left the police station, she couldn't help but feel the weight of the world pressing down on her. The mystery surrounding Monica was no longer just about a woman who had bought expensive jewelry. It was about corruption, power, and the lengths people would go to in order to stay hidden. But there was one thing that was still gnawing at Tara, the feeling that there was more to Monica than anyone knew. She wasn't just running from the law, she was running from something far more dangerous. Tara arrived back at her apartment, exhausted but resolute. She threw herself onto her bed, staring at the ceiling. Sleep was elusive, her mind racing with the information she had just learned. There were too many pieces to this puzzle, and yet Tara felt more determined than ever to put them together. The following days were a blur. The detective kept her updated on the investigation, but the leads were few and far between. It seemed that Monica had covered her tracks well, disappearing from one place to the next, always staying one step ahead of the authorities. But the deeper the investigation went, the more questions arose. Tara's life had become consumed by the mystery. Every time she thought she had a handle on the situation, another twist would emerge, leaving her just as confused as before. Monica wasn't just a runaway heiress. She was a master manipulator, pulling the strings from behind the scenes, using her wealth and influence to control people and businesses without anyone realizing it. But Tara couldn't help but wonder, why had Monica chosen her to be a part of this? She wasn't involved in any of the criminal dealings. She was just a witness, someone who had seen a woman walk into a store and make an unbelievable purchase. Was it a coincidence that Monica had chosen her, or was there something more? Then, late one evening, as Tara was scrolling through the news, she came across a headline that made her blood run cold. Monica Davidson's hidden fortune exposed, a tangle of lies and betrayal. Tara clicked on the article, her heart racing. What she read sent shockwaves through her. Monica's disappearance had been planned years ago, and it wasn't just to escape the media spotlight. It was a calculated move. She had faked her own death to sever ties with her family and enter a covert world where her every move was calculated for maximum control. And now, that world was collapsing around her. But the most chilling part of the article was a single line buried at the end of the report: Monica Davidson may not be running from the law, she's running from someone far worse. Tara stared at the screen, her mind reeling. She had known it all along. Monica Davidson wasn't just a fugitive. She was a woman on the run from something much more terrifying than the law. The sky was overcast, casting an eerie gray light over the city as Tara walked toward the cafe where she was meeting Detective Mallory. Her mind was a whirlwind of thoughts, and her heart was heavy with the weight of everything she had learned. The final pieces of the puzzle were falling into place, and yet, Tara couldn't shake the nagging feeling that there was still something missing. She hadn't slept in days. The investigation had consumed her entirely, and with each new revelation, the stakes grew higher. Now, as she walked through the bustling streets of the city, Tara felt a deep sense of unease. Whatever was waiting for her in that cafe, she knew it was going to change everything. As she entered the cafe, she spotted Detective Mallory sitting at a corner table, his face a mask of concentration. When he saw her, he motioned for her to join him. Tara walked over and sat down, her eyes searching his face for any sign of what was to come. "I've got something," Mallory said without preamble. His voice was calm, but there was a tension in his posture, as if he was holding something back. Something that might explain everything. Tara's pulse quickened. She leaned in. "What is it? What have you found?" Mallory took a deep breath and slid a folder across the table. "I've been working around the clock to uncover Monica's connections. The deeper we dug, the more we realized how intricate and dangerous this whole thing is. Tara opened the folder. Inside were several documents, photographs, and a set of maps that traced the movements of Monica Davidson. But what caught her attention first was a photograph of a man. His face was partially obscured, but there was no mistaking the look of power in his eyes. "This is Alexander Vextron," Mallory said, pointing to the photograph. "The man behind Vextron Enterprises." Tara looked at the photo again, a chill running down her spine. The same company Monica had connections with? Yes, Mallory confirmed. But it's not just a company. It's a front for something far darker, an international syndicate dealing in illegal arms, human trafficking, and money laundering. Vextron Enterprises is one of the largest criminal organizations in the world. And Monica, it seems, was working directly under Alexander Vextron himself. Tara felt her breath catch. This was beyond anything she had imagined. Monica's involvement in the jewelry store incident now made sense in the context of a larger criminal operation. She wasn't just a woman buying millions of dollars in jewels for personal pleasure, she was a pawn in a high-stakes game of power, money, and corruption. But why? Tara whispered. Why would she risk everything like that? Why would she come to me? Why would she? Because she was trying to send a message, Mallory interrupted. To us. To anyone who would listen. Monica's escape was part of a larger plan, but it wasn't just about getting away. She knew she couldn't escape the life she was in, but she had a plan. She needed help. Tara's mind raced. Help? From who? From you, Mallory said, his voice heavy with realization. Monica knew you were the key. She wanted you to see the truth before it was too late. She needed you to understand the danger she was in. She wasn't just running from the law, she was running from Vextron and his people. They wanted her dead. Tara sat back in her chair, her mind reeling. The woman she thought she had known, the woman who had seemed so mysterious and out of reach, was now revealed as something entirely different. A victim, trapped in a world of violence and manipulation. You said Monica faked her death, Tara said slowly, trying to piece everything together. How is that possible? How could she disappear like that? Mallory's expression darkened. It was all part of Vextron's plan. Monica had been working as an undercover agent for a secret government task force. Her mission was to infiltrate Vextron's operations, gather evidence, and bring him down. But something went wrong. She was compromised, and Vextron's men nearly killed her. That's when she faked her death. She staged the whole thing, her disappearance, her new identity, everything. Tara's heart hammered in her chest. And the jewelry? The jewelry was a cover, Mallory replied. A symbolic gesture to mark her death. Vextron saw it as a message to the world, Monica was gone. But the truth was, she was trying to keep her enemies at bay, to throw them off her trail long enough for her to make a move. Tara's head was spinning. She had been so focused on the surface, on the wealth, the mystery of the jewelry, that she had missed the deeper truth. Monica wasn't just an enigma, she was a woman fighting for her life, caught in a web of deceit and danger. But there was still one thing she didn't understand. Why me? Why did she choose me? What did I have to do with this? Mallory sighed, a look of regret crossing his face. She knew you were the key to bringing everything to light. She didn't trust many people, but she trusted you. You were the only one who saw through her disguise, the only one who didn't buy the story she was selling. You were the one she hoped could help her expose the truth. Tara sat in stunned silence, processing everything Mallory had told her. It was almost too much to comprehend. But the more she thought about it, the more the pieces fit together. Monica had used the jewelry store as a decoy, a distraction. She had chosen the most public place possible to make her move, knowing that it would attract attention. And when Tara had gotten involved, she had unknowingly stepped into a game far bigger than she had ever imagined. Tara stood up abruptly, her hands trembling. Where is she now? Is she still alive? What happens next? Mallory's face darkened. We don't know where she is. Vextron's men are still looking for her. And as for Monica, she's in hiding. If she's still alive, she's running out of time. Tara felt a cold shiver run through her. The woman who had seemed so detached, so composed, was now just a shadow, a fugitive fighting for survival. She had made her move, and now Tara was caught in the aftermath. But as much as Tara wanted to help, she knew she couldn't do it alone. Monica had trusted her, but Tara wasn't a detective. She wasn't trained for this. She had no idea how to stop an international criminal syndicate. And yet, the more Tara thought about it, the more she realized something. She had been given a gift, an opportunity to right a wrong, to expose a terrible truth, and to help someone who had been lost in the shadows. How can I help? Tara asked, her voice steady now, a new resolve forming inside her. Mallory looked at her, surprised by her sudden shift in attitude. You're sure? It's dangerous. This isn't something you can walk away from once you're in it. Tara met his gaze, her eyes burning with determination. I can't walk away. Not now. Monica trusted me, and I owe it to her to find the truth. Whatever it takes. Mallory nodded slowly. Then we go together. We'll find Monica. We'll take down Vextron, and we'll expose the truth for the world to see. The two of them left the cafe, stepping into the unknown, ready to face whatever came next. The world was darker than Tara had ever imagined, but she wasn't afraid. She wasn't alone. And together, they would uncover the secrets that had been hidden for too long. As they walked down the street, the weight of the future settled heavily on Tara's shoulders. She knew the journey ahead would be long and dangerous, but one thing was certain: she would not stop until the truth was exposed. And Monica's story would be told. This concludes the story, with the final twist and an open ending that leaves room for reflection and future possibilities.